Hey guys, welcome to the Skolo Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. Okay, today we are continuing with part 8 of our tutorial series. It's getting longer and longer, but this is what it takes to build a complete software as a service platform with complete payment processing. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, guys, do a note that this is part 8 of a tutorial series that has already 7 parts of at least 1 hour each. Okay, so it will be advisable for you to go and watch the previous videos before you watch this one, because we are continuing off where we left off in the previous videos. All right. And just for admin, guys, remember, inside of, if you're watching the video right now, remember to like this video, okay, because it helps this video to be visible to other people so that more people can be exposed to this. Because I get this question all the time: your channel should have like millions of subscribers, but it doesn't have millions of subscribers because you guys, you don't like my videos and you don't comment on my videos. All right, so the more you interact with my videos and comment on it, the more the algorithm picks it up and the more it will show it to more people. All right, and if you have $1 or $2, okay, do remember to leave me a thanks. That definitely boosts the video even more. All right, so go into the description below and open it up and click that show more button, and I will put all the links in there. So if you hear me say I'm going to link it in the description below, you're going to find it in there. All right. I will also have video timestamps in the video so you can forward to any part of the video that you like. Okay, so I don't want to hear somebody telling me that the video is too long, because you technically don't have to watch the whole video. You could just go to this timestamp, read about it, and watch the part of the video that is of interest to you. Okay, and if you scroll down, then you'll see all the links to the other previous videos. When I say that we have like at least 7 more videos in this series, you'll see part 1, part 2, part 3, all the way to part 7. I will link in the description below, and you can actually start watching from the first video until you get to this one. All right, and I also have my social media links in there, my contact information, my email address, my website. There's a lot there. All right, so this week what we're going to do is that we're picking up on part 8 of this tutorial series. Okay, so we're going to be working on the billing page. We're going to do a lot, but this is where we're going to end up. All right, I think what we had before was we had a working dashboard like this, where you could just see the blogs you've written and the ones that you've saved. Okay, so what we're going to do is definitely this number of words over there. We kind of calculate this inside of the profile page so that you'll be able to, like, when you see the total words, it will not be calculated per blog, but it will be calculated per profile. So every time you call the API, we'll be adding up the words that you're using, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is the billing page. We got that sorted out, and we'll be able to show you if the person is on the free tier. There will be a PayPal button which we're going to integrate, and somebody can click that PayPal button and they can pay with their PayPal account, and they can subscribe to your to your website. So we're going to do all of that. So you see over there, I've canceled my subscription. It shows that, and we're going to do all of that in today's video. So by the end of this video, you will have your own working PayPal button for people to actually do subscription payments. So this, you'll see, if you click that PayPal button, it's not a once-off payment. All right, I'm going to go to here over there to click with a bank account to show you that this is actually a subscription payment. You'll see at the top there, it shows that let me see how much you're charging the person. You'll see that it's actually a subscription payment where you're charging the person $10 until the person cancels. Okay, so what this does is that the person only has to subscribe once, and PayPal on a monthly basis will be billing them their subscription amount monthly. So that is really nice, because you don't have to like every month send the person a bill, and then they you actually want them to subscribe and sort of forget, and that you're billing them monthly until they decide to come and cancel the subscription. So we're going to show you how to do all of that here in today's video. So let's get learning. So today, definitely, we want to start to implement payment processing. But before we can do that, we have to find a way, because what we're if you look at our website here, we are charging people based on the characters that they use on a monthly basis. So the first package we're offering for free, and they can use up to 3,000 characters. I think we'll lift that up to 5,000, because I've noticed 3,000 doesn't give you much. So 5,000 is maybe just a couple of, like, 2 or 3 blogs, right? And then the next one is 40,000 and they pay $10 for that, and then $29 is unlimited. We don't limit how much they can use. So ideally we want people to get to this $29 a month, but maybe they can settle for this and they can use this to try out the system and figure out if they like it or not. Now we have to have a way of measuring words. Last week I showed you how to sort of count the words per blog, and we're able to count the words per blog, but this is not going to help us when it comes to actually limiting somebody's usage and being able to display somebody's usage. It's good to have a blog count. I think I'll leave that way, but we need a different way of measuring the words the user is using. And we need to do that on a profile level, because we need to be able to know at every point of the application what their word count is. So our profile model, if you look at it, it's a very high level model that is used to determine the person's to identify the person, and it's got a one-to-one field with the user, which means if you have the user a variable which is available on every single view. So if you look at all the views, you can access the user by request.user. You can also access the user inside of the template by just using, but the user variable is available on the template. So the user is the best place to actually put something that you want to track throughout the whole application. But we extended the user model in a way by creating a one-to-one field with the profile. So if we put this sort of what you call subscription information inside of the profile model, we'll be able to easily access it by saying user.profile. So we'll be able to access it in the HTML. If we want to have a quick check on the word count of the person, we can access it on the HTML. We can access it in every view, all right, without having to call the database, by just using the request.user. So I'm going to definitely use the profile model, and I'm going to add a couple of variables inside of the profile model. Okay, so I'm going to say subscription. I'm going to call this subscription helpers. All right, and for this subscription helpers, I'm going to say monthly count, to remind myself that this is a monthly word count, and then we have to find a way to reset this at the end of the month. Okay, so every month end on the 31st or the last day of the month, we're going to have to reset this back to 0, or depending on how the subscription of the person runs. And I think we'll be doing this via the subscription model, where anybody can start in the middle of the month their subscription, then it must give them 30 days to the next day day that their subscription is due. So every time they make a payment, what we can do is that when a payment is made, we can then reset this monthly count to 0. You understand? So I think that's the best place to do it. Then we don't have to do it offline. We can do it when payments are made, and we can track it that way. So we need to know the monthly word count. I'm just going to call it monthly count, so I don't have a long variable. We definitely need to have subscription. We can call it subscribed. All right. And this can be like a Boolean field where we will be able to test to check whether the person has subscribed or not. So every time they make a payment, we will turn this subscribed on. And when they miss a payment, or if they haven't made a payment, we'll turn the subscribed off. And if we turn the subscribed off, it defaults to then the person must be on the free model. Okay. And then another variable that we're going to need is we're going to need a subscription type. Okay. Subscription type. And this is going to be like a select field. So let's say subscription options. Let's call this subscription options. All right, and give this like a list of options that the person can choose. All right, for a subscription. So the default one for subscription option, the default subscription option is going to be the free model. All right, so the free one is the one where you get up to 3,000 words, which we can change to 5,000 words. All right, and then after the free model, then we've got the starter, and then we've got advanced. We can just call them that. We can call the second one a starter, and then the third one we can call advanced. Okay, starter, and then the third one we can call advanced. Cool. Now let's put these on. So let me see, where can I copy and paste some of these things? Actually, I'm gonna go back to my Skolo website. You'll be surprised how much I actually still refer to this documentation I have on my Skolo website, and you can access it. Just go to Skolo online /documents, okay, and you'll see our documentation. So every time I do the model stuff, model imports, structures, you get a lot of, I get the options here. And then I'm looking for what am I looking for? A select field. So the select field looks like this one, all right? So let me copy that. So this is for the type. So it's a models.character field, and then the choices that I need to give it are these subscription options. All right, so these are the options, and then you can also give it a default. So instead of saying null is true and blank is true, I don't want it to be nullable. I want it to have a default. Okay, so a default value for this will be free. All right, which means when an account is created, by default we will default them to the free tier. And then it will be up to them to then increase the subscription to either a starter or an advance. Okay, so you don't have you must then you can say maximum length 100, but it doesn't really matter because it's not going to be more than these 3 options. It will always be limited to the options that you've given it over there. So this is a select field. It means that in this subscription type field inside of the model, every time you specify subscription type, you are going to be limited to these options that you've given it, these choices, the free, starter, or advanced. If you try to enter a different type of a thing, it will not allow it. And it's actually just a character field. It's a character field that has got limited options. Think about it that way, all right? It's simple that way. And then we need a Boolean field. I can't see a Boolean field here. Oh, there you go. There's a Boolean field. So a Boolean field is a true or false type field, all right? So and then the default, and then you have to give it a default. Okay, the default can be true, the default can be false. It depends. So what we need here is we need to be able to tell or to check if somebody has subscribed. And they can either have been subscribed or not subscribed. So by the time when they open the account the first time, it will default to false. It means that the first time they enter or they create an account, they will not be a subscriber. It will be false. And when they do make a payment, then this will be turn this on to true, all right? And then the monthly word count, this one will just be a character field, a normal character field. It can be nullable, so it can start as null when they first create the account, and then over time, as we add more and more words, then we will be updating this monthly word count. And then obviously at the end of the month, when they make their payment, we will then default it. And we also have to default it for the guys who are on the free tier. We mustn't forget that. So the guys who are on the free tier, we must still remember to so we need to know exactly the date that this was created, so that on that date every month we can sort of reset it to 0 for the guys that that I haven't paid. All right, we need a function that returns whether or not the person is still within their limit of word count. All right, and I'm going to write this inside of our functions. So inside of our functions, let's call this def. It's going to sort of check, let's call it check word allowance, check count allowance. All right, so what this function, the purpose of this function is, we're going to give it a person's profile, and it should be able to test based on their subscription whether they're subscribed or not, and what subscription they're subscribed to, return true or false on sort of the word that like the count that they've got, if they're still within their allowance. So in here I'm going to say we're going to enter a profile to check for word allowance. All right, let's see, we need a function also that tells you how many words you've got left, all right, for the month. And I think that is probably something we'll only use inside of the template. So maybe we'll use a template filter for that. Okay, so for now, let's just do the word count allowance with the profile. All right, so over here we will call this function from inside of the views, and every time we want to display something, we want to test if the person is still has got the word allowance, we're going to be calling this function. All right, so let's look at the models. All right, and then we're going to say we've got the monthly count. All right, we've got subscribed and we've got subscription type. Okay, so let me just actually copy these 3 inside of my functions, because these are the 3 words I need. Let me put them at the bottom here. All right. So I'm thinking as I'm writing, guys. So if I'm a little bit slow, it's because I'm thinking as I'm writing and thinking about how this function should look like. So the first thing that we want to check is we definitely want to check that the person is subscribed or not. If they're not subscribed, then we know by default they must be on the free tier. All right. So we're going to say if subscribed. All right. And if subscribed, we can check this by actually just saying profile.subscribed. Okay. If profile.subscribed, then we know that the user has a subscription. Right? Else, we know that the max limit is equals to 5,000 words. Right? I said I'm going to change this from 3,000 to 5,000. Okay. I'll change it on the HTML as well. In fact, let me change it on the HTML now. Let me have a look at the landing, the layout. Let's see the landing, the index. So let me just see here, 3,000 characters per month, 3,000 characters. So I'm gonna change this to 5. Okay, I'm gonna give people 5,000 characters for the free tier. All right. So if the person is subscribed, we're going to do something else. If they're not subscribed, we know the max limit must be 5,000. All right. And then we also know that we have a monthly count in there. All right. So we're going to say if monthly count is less than 5,000, is less than max limit. So which is the max limit of 5,000, then we can say that you're still good to go. So we can just say return true. All right, which means you're good or whatever, and else return false. So this will just return true or false, and you can use it to test inside of the views if the persons are still within the allowance. So obviously, if the monthly count, which is the count as we are counting every time we are adding the words, and this will be an integer. All right, we'll make sure it's an integer. If it's, and it won't actually be monthly count, it will be profile.monthly count, okay? And so it won't be an integer, it will be a string, because if you look at the models over here, monthly count, we have it as a character field of a string, okay? So it won't be an integer, it will be a string. So what we can do is that we can convert it into an integer here, all right? And obviously, we need to make sure that this is not none, all right? So because this could possibly be none if we haven't counted this yet. So we need to check for that. All right. So we need to say if a monthly count exists. All right. So we can do it like that. And if a monthly count exists, then we're going to check if the integer of the monthly count is less than the whatever return true. If the monthly count does not exist, it means that it's probably none, which means that maybe the account is new, they just created it, they haven't used any blogs, anything. So this started as a none. It hasn't been updated into anything yet. So what we're going to do is that in that case, we know definitely it can return true. Now return true. If this is less than the max limit, true is good. All right. So true means you're still within the allowance. So if this is none, it means you actually you haven't used any words. You definitely have to return true over here. So let me just check one. If the integer is less, if this is less than the limit, you're still within the limit, return true. If you're above the limit, return false. Okay. So then over here, we're going to be checking now if you are subscribed. So if you are subscribed, we have to look at your subscription type. All right. All right. So if you're subscribed, we're going to need to say type is equals to profile.subscription type. All right. And this one can be any one of these subscription types. It can be, let's look at the models. It can be free, starter, or advanced. Okay, so let me copy these and I have them over there, so I can delete these. I've got these now. So it can be free or starter or advanced. Okay, so let's see. So let's say if the type is equals to free, we're gonna do something. All right, we're gonna do something. I'm going to come back and write this function later. All right, else if, all right, the type is equals to starter. We're going to do something else. All right, I'm going to write this function later. Do something else. And then if, I know you'll be tempted to say else, but just to be, you know, robust, let's make sure that we in the right, you know, like somebody didn't enter something that wasn't free or starter and it still wasn't advanced. Okay. So if type is equals to advanced, then do something else. Okay, do something. And then obviously we need an else for this function. If you do if, you have to end it with an else. Else, let's just return false. Okay, return false, because typically this shouldn't happen, because we should be 1, 2, or 3 because we've limited it in the model, right? But then again, when you're writing functions, you have to be robust and think about scenarios where that are unlikely, but you know, technically could happen. So let's just return false if we don't fit into any one of these 3, which should not be the case anyway. So if the type is equals to free, right, we know that the max limit will be 5,000. So if the type is equals to free, the max limit is 5,000, right? And actually what we can do, we can just copy this function that we have here, and you know, max limit is equals to 5,000, and then we do the exact same thing. We check if the monthly count, we check for the monthly count and all of that, and then it's gonna just look at the max limit that you've put there. All right. And if it's a starter, we can actually then copy the same function again. All right, for starter. All right, but the difference with the starter is that the max limit is not 5,000, the max limit is now 40,000. All right, so the person has like a little bit more leeway, they can use more words. So it's gonna check if the monthly count is less than this 5,000, you return true. All right, and then advanced, of course, there's no maximum limit. For advanced, we are always going to return true. Okay, we're not checking for anything because we are saying you're unlimited, so we will always return true in advance. Okay, so this function will return true or false based on the subscription type and the subscription that the person has. All right, and we can test this, and I like to do this sometimes to just, you know, especially with a lot of these true falses. Okay, is that create a profile, and in the admin, what you can do is that on the admin of the profile, you can like enter different values for manually. You can do that manually. So inside your module, you can enter different values for your monthly count, subscribed, and subscription type. All right, and then you can manually like test this thing. So you can even write a test function, you know, and in a proper application, that's what you would do. You would actually go into your test functions and you would write a test function to test this kind of, you know, to see that it returns the right things every time. And you can test all the different options, and you can assert what you know it must return, and you can do it. You can build a test function for that. I'm not going to get into that now because we will be here for another 6 months if I'm going to write a test for every function that I write. I'm going to just assume this is right, and we'll figure it out on the fly if there's a problem. Okay, now this check count allowance is now a function you're going to be able to call inside of the views. All right, so let's come here inside of the views, right, and let's see the home. Let's see on the home page, right? Before I do anything else, before I even go into the context, right, I'm going to say allowance is equals to check count allowance, and then here we can just say the profile is actually the request.user.profile. Remember, I told you now it's easy to access the profile from any view without calling the database, because you can get it via the request.user, because the profile is a one-to-one relationship with the user. All right, so this is a really cool thing to do, so you can access it anyway. And now I just had to make sure that from the functions I've imported that function at the top there. So from functions, import star. What this does is that it imports all the functions you want to write inside of your functions file. So then you can just call that function directly and it will be imported. Okay, so now we have the allowance inside of the home page. All right, what we can do is that we can say, we can have like a nice, I don't know, maybe like we can display like a, what do you call this? Just let me open this in a different page, in a new tab. No, not that. I actually want to open the profile page because I want to get the code perhaps for, okay, it's not running anymore. Did my, yes, stop running. Let me just rerun my engine. I sort of want to display prominently at the top when the person's allowance has been, when you no longer have an allowance for words that you need to either upgrade your subscriptions, okay? So we will update these obviously with a subscription later on, but maybe at the top here, I want to be able to, so I'm gonna, let's say this allowance, I'm gonna send it to the dashboard, all right? Context allowance is equals to allowance. And then I want to be able to say, if allowance, so inside of the home.html, let's find with that home.html. All right, so here, in fact, let's create another row at the top there. And let's create just a column, LG12, a big column. And then I actually want like a, what do you call this? Like an alert of sorts. So let me see my profile HTML. I think it's this one here. There's an alert. All right. So let's copy a similar alert and put it inside of the home page over there. And let's call this upgrade account. All right, and then I'm gonna say you have maxed out your your sort of word allowance for the month. Okay, upgrade. And then you're going to say upgrade your subscription. And then here. All right. And then I'm going to put a link over there where that here is. And for that link, it's going to take us to the href is equals to, let's say, URL for subscription. Or URL for billing. Let's call it billing. Let's call it a billing page. All right. And we haven't built this page. We're going to build it later. But this URL for billing is going to be the same URL that you will see when you go to the, let's see, where's our layout, dashboard layout. You'll remember we had, so here at the top, where next to the profile page, there's that billing thing. There was no link because we hadn't built the billing page. But let's look for it now. Where's profile? Let me just search for profile. Let me actually just search for billing once because it's written there. Yeah, billing. There you go. Drop down item. So let's put in that href in there. All right. So this is an href for billing, and it will take the user to the billing page, and then we're gonna build the billing page. We haven't done it yet, but before I forget, let me just do the URL for it. All right, let me just copy that down here so that I can just, say billing page. And for the billing page, it's going to look quite similar to the profile page. So I can actually just copy that and then make sure that I get the spelling exactly the same. So I'll put the billing in there, the billing in there. All right, and the billing in there, and then you obviously have to build a view for the billing. So if we go back to our views, all right, we're gonna do it right at the bottom. We're gonna say def billing, which takes in a request, and then we can just like render the context, and this will just be billing. All right, this page, the HTML will just call billing.html we're going to create that HTML, but not yet. And then obviously login is required here. All right, so that's a view. So these are the quick, easy steps when you're creating a page. You need obviously a URL, then you need to build a view for it, and then after that you build the HTML page. And then just so that I don't get an error here, I will just say context is equal to a blank object, which I will fill in later. And then I'll go into my dashboard and then create that new file that I will call billing.html. Right, it's empty now. It's all right, we'll get to it later. All right, so then I know now that I've got my URL set up for billing. All right, I know that I've got on the landing page, it's there as well. I know that on the home page, I now can show this option to upgrade an account for people, so that when the word count is less, they can click here and and they can go to the billing page immediately. All right. And then this one is a conditional display. I only want to display this if the allowance is, like if they've gone over the allowance. So remember, this allowance function is going to return true or false if the allowance is still true. So let me look at the function again and remind myself. So this will return true if the allowance is still, so it will return false. So we need to check if this is not true. So if it's false, we need to check for if it's false. So if let me just copy it. If not allowance, all right? If not allowance, then we're gonna display that. And therefore, right? So if the allowance is false, like you don't have an allowance, then it's gonna show you that you need to upgrade your account. And of course, we need to then do this throughout the whole application. So we need to do it, this generate blog section, even if somebody clicks on it and they get to this part, this button shouldn't be clickable if the person does not have or maybe you should display a different button that says if not allowance to do that. But I'll leave you guys to manage that and do that in your own time. But what you would want to do is to make sure that this button is not clickable if the person's allowance is not there. All right. And then inside of the dashboard over here, they can view their thing. But here where they have an option to rewrite the blog as well. So you have to go through the whole application and all the places where somebody can technically now access the blog writer. You need to put in this allowance check. All right. So you need to then go into this. I've shown you how to do it once over there, but it's the same process. Once you now, if this function works, and I'll test it now, but if I've done it properly, you can then just rewrite, you can just call this anyway. You can even just say allowance is equals to check this, and you can just replace this there, right? And do it like that. And you can add it throughout your whole application and send it to the context every time in every view. And then inside of the context, you can just check for it, and then you can do conditional displays. So in this specific case, you would be able to click here to see this blog topic. So let's say you clicked to view this blog topic. Actually, once you get here, the generate full blog option shouldn't be there. When the person gets here, you should then show them the different button and say, oh, you've reached your allowance. You can't, please, and then you should send them to the page where they need to do their subscription. You understand? So in all parts of your application, you need to go and do that. So that people cannot then create blogs when they don't have an allowance. All right. So what I'm going to do now is the next thing, the last part of our getting our application ready for billing is inside of the function where you call the API, where you call the OpenAI API. You need to do the counting. You need to up your counting inside of your profile model, so that every time you call the API and you get the tokens and you get the words, when you get this cleaned response, you need to actually then count the number of words that are in here. All right, and then update it on the user's profile page. You understand? So now it means that when you call this function, you need to give the profile of this person, right? So let's go to the views and see everywhere we are calling this function. Over there. So over here, we need to then also send the profile, let's call it the request.user.profile. All right. Then the next place you call it, there you go. You need to send it to the request.user.profile. Okay, so you're sending in the profile every time. And over there as well, you need to send in the request.user.profile. Okay, so let's search for all the places the function is. You've sent it there. You've sent it there. You've sent it there. All right. So then inside of the function where you are doing it, where you're calling the where you are actually inside of the function page, you need to then you can then access this profile over there, which is the request user profile. And then you can use this profile now to update you can update now inside of the profile. Remember let me go to the models. Inside of the profile, you've got this monthly count. You can sort of increment the monthly count, so you can say over there, or now that you have the cleaned response, you can say profile.monthly count. All right, and you can up the monthly count here. So you can say profile.monthly count is equals to actually let's create a local variable that we call the old count. Let's call this the old count, and then let's say the old count is equals to the profile.monthly count, like that. All right, and then we want an integer of this. All right, so we need an integer of that, and this can throw an error if this is a none. So we need to then put it inside of we need to check that it's not null or it's not none. So we need to say if we have a profile.monthly count. All right, if we have a profile.monthly count, the old count is equals to the profile.monthly count, the integer of that. All right, if we don't have it, right, the old count is equals to 0, right? So if we have it, it's the integer of whatever the number that's there. If we don't have it, we're going to set it to 0. Then what we're going to do is that we're going to take that old count. All right, we're going to take that old count and increment it. We're going to say the old count, and we're going to increment it plus equals to. We're going to take this cleaned resolution, right? The cleaned response. We're going to say the cleaned response. Remember what we do to count? We're going to split it at the spaces, right? And then this is going to give you like an array, and then we're going to get the length of it, right? So we're going to take that response, split it, and get the length of that. And sometimes a response doesn't come through. All right. Okay, but then if there's no response, this only works if the length of choices is greater than 0, and the response choice is a text. So there's always going to be a text there, right? Maybe let's check that this text. Let's do a check here, because we don't want to do this on an empty string. Okay, so let's say if the length of response dot split, and this will give an error as well. If response is not equals to an empty string. Okay. Yeah. So if the response is not equals to an empty string. Okay. All right, to do something, we'll place that in there, else return an empty string. Don't do that if it's an empty string. Okay, so here we need to make sure that the response is not an empty string, because we're going to have issues here trying to split things if we've got an empty string. All right, so then what we're going to do there is old count plus minus the length of the cleaned response split at the spaces. All right, so the old count, we increment the old count by the length of that, and then the profile.monthly count is now going to be equals to the old count, because remember here we're only incrementing it. All right, and then it's going to be actually a string of the old count. We don't want to save an integer, and then from there we're going to then just say the profile.save. We need to save for the change to take effect. Okay, so what we're doing here, let me just go through this function again, because I'm writing on the fly, I'm thinking as I'm writing. What we're doing here is that we're getting the choices from the response. We're checking that there is more than one choice, and then we're taking the first choice, the text of that first choice, and then we're checking that text of that first choice is not an empty string. Okay, if that's the case, then we take the cleaned response, which we're just replacing all the next lines with the breaks. All right, and then after we do that, we then we check that the profile that was entered at the top here, that there is a monthly count inside of that profile class, inside of the profile model. If there is a monthly count and it's not none, we say the integer of that is the old count. So we create a new variable called old count, and we make it the integer of whatever that's in there that is not none, because we check for it not to be none there. If it is none or is null, then we just make the old count 0. All right, then we then say the old count plus equals to the length of the cleaned response. So this cleaned response, we take the length of it. Actually, before we take the length, we take the clean response, we split it in the spaces. So it's going to create an array. So this becomes an array, and I'll show you what I mean by that. All right, so let's go in here and let's clear here, and let's just do a Python something. All right, and then let's give it a string. Let's like pick something here and say I don't know, a sentence is equals to this, and paste this thing that I've copied in there, right? And I just want to show you what this does. All right, if this was a sentence and we split by 0 and got the length of this, it should give me the word count. Okay, so if I do that, but I replace this cleaned response with this sentence. So you have a sentence, a paragraph, or anything, and you split it by the spaces and you take the length of it, you should get the word count. So there should be 22 words in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You see, so it splits everything by the spaces, and then it puts all of the stuff that it is split into an array, a list, and then you count the length of that list. That gives you the word count of that sentence. We've used this function before. If you watched the last week's video, that's where that comes from. And then it will always return an integer. So this is always going to be a number, and then you can then increment the old variable. So the old variable would be whatever it is that was initially stored in the profile. It will just increment that, or if there was nothing stored, it will start from 0 and count forward, and then the next time it will continue counting from there. So this is a good way of every time somebody is now using the model for you to then increment the words. And you'll see I'm only doing this for the block sections, okay, which means that I'm going to allow them for free to get free access to selecting the block topics and the block sections. All right, so block topics and block sections, I'm going to let them do it for free. I'm not going to count the words for that. All right, I'm not going to count the words when they are doing the block sections details. All right, but if they are out of allowance, I still won't allow them to generate topics and sections. All right, they would have to have an allowance, but I'm not counting. So I'm not going to count the words in the block section titles, and I'm not going to count the words in the topic ideas. I'm going to assume that 3 or 4 words I can give them for free. I'm going to make the most money is in the block section anyway, even if you think about the volume of a block section compared to a topic, right? But this is optional. You can do this in the other functions if you want, but you can see how I've done it here, and then you can actually just apply the same thinking and do the same thing over there, all right? But I specifically won't do that. So now what this should be able to do going forward is now we should be able to see the actual word count, all right? Every time somebody generates a blog, we should see that incrementing, all right? And then if we go back to the home page, now on the home page where we used to just show random, where we used to just say the number of blogs, I think that remains. The word count for the month, instead of now displaying that 6199, which we're displaying the month count, and that month count was coming from the blog, where was the month? We were just adding the current, the month count. Let's see. Yeah, we were getting it from there. What we will do instead of this, because I said update later, I put a reminder here actually. All right. So instead of doing this, I will then say request.user dot what we have there, dot monthly count. So request.user dot profile dot monthly count. So where's my model? So it's user dot profile. So there's a misspelling there. This should be monthly count, right? Let's replace that. I haven't run migrations, so it shouldn't be a problem, but I know I've used it inside of my functions there. Let me replace all. Where I've put in a misspelling, and then inside of the home, inside of the views, I can put the proper monthly count. So user dot monthly count, right? This is why I actually personally, if you noticed what I did when I was writing my functions, that's why the misspelling carried through. When I write my function, I usually copy and paste from my model because of this problem. And it happens all the time, especially when you do a lot of programming, you get tired, you can misspell a specific word inside of the model. And if you copy and paste, instead of retyping every time, you carry through the misspelling, which means that even though you misspelled, your functions will still work technically, right? And I've just made it a habit, and you can see I carried through my misspelling because I was copying and pasting from a model. People always ask me, why do you do that? It's for that kind of, for that scenario. But if you do pick it up before you've run your migrations, then you have to correct it. But if, for example, I had run my migrations already, I would then not want to rename this variable. I would just keep the misspelling throughout, which happens. I've got lots of applications with words misspelled throughout the whole application. And the application still works because it doesn't matter that you've misspelled the word. But obviously, it's good practice to correct those spelling things. So now, inside of the views, for the monthly count, I will now be getting it directly from the model, okay? User profile monthly count, right? So that will then give me the count there that the person is used for the month. And then the reset, we don't have a date yet. We'll get this date. So this will update later, all right? We will get this date once we do the integration. We'll get it from from our integration date. We'll be able to then. So perhaps let's inside of our model here. All right. I don't think we need this because we can get this directly from the subscription. Okay. So let's actually do this subscription reference. All right. This is just from previous experience doing this kind of integrations, is that normally when you call the API, whether you're using PayPal, I use actually Stripe a lot. Stripe always returns, when you create a subscription, they will give you a subscription ID or a subscription reference, which you can then use every time to fetch that subscription. So maybe on a monthly basis, you want to fetch that subscription to check. You can see from when you fetch a subscription, the date that the subscription was made, the date is going to be renewed, the status, because people can technically sometimes bypass your application, go and sign into their own PayPal and then unsubscribe. they can do that. They can bypass your app and unsubscribe on their own because they have the right to do that. So what you then want to do is on a monthly basis, call that subscription. So if you have it saved on the person's profile, you can have a background task that's running on a daily, hourly, whatever basis. And that task just sort of double checks all the subscriptions that they are still valid. So it will go through all the profiles and check the subscription and use the subscription reference, call the API to check that that subscription is not being deactivated for some reason. And then if it has been deactivated, then it just turns this off. And if this is turned off inside of your application, then the person doesn't have access anymore. You understand? So you're going to need some sort of a subscription reference inside of the model. So instead of putting in a subscription date, I'll rather put in a subscription reference here. And then what I will do is that from the subscription reference, I should be able to get the date. And then here, when I come to the home, when I need to display the date over there, instead of the views, I'll use that reference. I will call the reference and find what that date is. And it will be available always inside of that subscription object. You will see when we get to that stage. All right. So I think we are good now for the most part. All right, let me see what's here, subscription reference. All right, so what I need to do now is to reset this entire application because we need to start from scratch now that we've got subscriptions enabled and stuff like that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this server. I'm going to stop the server, then I'm going to run migrations. Okay, then after I run migrations, and then I'm gonna delete the entire database so we can start from scratch, and then we're gonna create a new class and so forth. All right, so let's clear this. Let's push. Remember, every time you make changes to your model, you must run migrations. All right? So everything went without a hitch, and then you must then migrate. Coolio. Then I'm going to run this. Run server. All right. Coolio. Then I'm just going to copy this. Actually, I want to go to the admin panel and delete everything. Right. All right. Admin at, I think that's the what I used. So when I say I'm going to delete everything, obviously I'm talking about the blogs and the blog sections. All right. So obviously let's start with the blogs. And I think because I've made it cascade, it should delete the sections as well. Right. So let's test that. So I'm basically deleting all the blogs from the system. All right. Delete selected blogs. It should delete the sections as well because of the cascade action that I picked on the model. So the database is empty for blogs and blog sections only. The profile, we don't want to delete profiles. We're just clearing the blogs because we're gonna start from scratch, building new blogs, and we need to know, So if I go to the profile there, and I look under Jane Doe, I should be able to see now that I'm now on the default free tier, and my reference, I don't have a reference because I have not subscribed, and the monthly count is null. All right, so that's okay. That's sort of what we're expecting. All right, so let's then actually let's log out first. Let's close that. Let's log out. We don't want to log in with the admin login, so let's log out first. All right, and then let's then log in properly with the user, our test user. So we are signing in. It's also great to see what your dashboard looks like in an empty state. I test this sometimes a lot because you obviously don't want to display these things if there's no completed blogs, and if there's no saved blogs. You don't want to display empty tables. All right, so actually what I want to do is, let's go back to the home page and see these completed blogs. So we need to actually put this inside of a condition and say this entire card, we only want to display it if there is a completed blog to display. All right, so we need to say if completed blogs length is greater than 0. All right, and then let's see the div, where this div ends, and then we can put in the end if. And the same for this one. Okay, so empty blogs as well. We don't want to display this entire card. You can leave the column, but the card you don't want to display if there's nothing to display. So we're going to do the same thing, and you're going to say if that empty blog's length is greater than 0. And that's how you do length greater than 0 inside of the template. So then let's see where that ends, and then do an end if. All right. So this one will then will then cause for this. It will mean that these empty tables are not displayed. All right. So let's check it out. Coolio. Did this restart? Nope. All right, so let's then have a look at it. There you go. That's better. You have written 0 blogs. Your word count for the month is none words. Your count will reset on. We haven't figured out a date. They can write a new blog, and then they can go through the steps. So what we want to do is we want to test writing new blogs and just see that we'll count the words properly. So let's enter a blog topic idea. What do we want to write about? CRM software. The blog audience is entrepreneurs and business founders. Keywords is CRM software, CRM tools, CRM tech, SaaS, software as a service. Yeah, that's okay. Let's test that. The rest of the application has not changed. So going through the blog topics to getting the blog sections and all of that. So I'm going to save that one, and then I'm going to use that one. Okay. So why is CRM software essential? How CRM software can help grow your business? And then I'm going to pick the third one. Okay. This is where it should be counting technically. So let's hope we don't see any errors now. It would mean our counter is working. Okay, so there we go. We've got our blog there. Okay, let's go to the dashboard. And I've used 566 words so far. Okay, so, and that's exactly the word count for the first blog. All right, but it's now saved inside of my profile. This is what I wanted. Okay, so let's see here. So saved blog topics. This is a completed blog. CRM software, this is completed. It shouldn't be inside of this list. Okay, so why CRM software is essential? This should not be on the saved blog topics. So let's see, how are we getting the saved blog topics? Okay, so after a bit of troubleshooting, it looks like this block topic gets saved twice, the same block topic. So the first time it gets saved without the sections, and then the next time it gets saved with the sections. I looked at the database and I saw it was saved twice. So the problem is not fetching it here, it's that it gets saved twice in the database. And then looking at my functions, there's only one place where we are saving the block topic, and it's over here. All right, so the only way this could be happening is perhaps we are calling this function more than once. And the only thing I can think of is that when we do the get request, we go through this, right? And when we do the post request, we go through this again. So what we need to do is that when we do the post request, we don't want to run this function again when we're doing the post. We want this to sort of like the post must come ahead of the get in a way. So let me copy this post. If request.method is equals to post, let me remove that and put it here at the beginning. All right. So that if it's a post request, it just looks at the values that are posted. It checks for the what we posted, and then it runs. What does it do? If it's post, it does B sections, block sections. Let's see, previous block 0, then it gets the block section, filter that, and then the previous block, it gets it from there, the generate section, it gets the values from the request.session, right? So this block topic here, where does the block topic come from? The block topic comes in with the URL, okay? The value is the value from inside of the request.post. This is all coming from the session, and the previous blog is what we're defining there, and this is request.user. Okay, so this function technically should run without an error, and then that should prevent the rest of it running if it's a post request, because it looks like perhaps this was running even if it's a post request. So when we were getting the page the first time, it was running and saving the stuff, and then when it was a post request, it was running that again, okay, which is actually not the behavior that we want. I'm not going to test this now because we're running out of time, but just test it in your own time and figure out if this is a problem. I'm not going to do this again because I think we need to get to the payment processing now. So let's start by building this bidding page. Okay, so if you click here now, okay, the server is not running. Let's run the server, see what's going on here. Coolio. If we go to this page, it should be an empty page because we don't have anything on the HTML. If you recall, our billing HTML is just an empty page, although we've built the URL and the view for it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually work with the base from the profile page. You see on the profile page, you've got I'm going to copy the entire profile page. I'll show you what I mean by this. I'm going to copy the entire profile page and put it in here. And then in here, instead of having account settings account, I will have account settings billing. And then over here, it will say billing. All right, and let's remove this void JavaScript on both. All right. So let's replace it with just an empty, all right. Then profile details, let's see, if we go to the profile page, I want to see where is the profile details, account settings, account, profile details. Okay, then you got a button that says account. All right, so then this card that says account, profile details, I'm going to remove this entire card with margin bottom 4. You see this whole card? I'm going to remove this whole card. And instead of a card that says profile details, I want to immediately have, instead of this delete account, I'm going to use this section to say, okay, instead of delete account, what we're going to have here is upgrade. Is your billing information. All right, and then we're not gonna have a form here. I'm gonna just remove this form for now. All right, this form deactivation, let's just delete that. And so over here, what we want to say is we want to be able to say, you know, we want to show the person their current. Okay, so instead of having this alert warning, let's make it like an alert success. And let's say we want to show them their current, okay, their current subscription, okay? So their current subscription is going to be inside of their profile, models, and it's going to be the subscription type. All right, so there are 3 different subscription types. So we're going to have to like maybe let me save this and close it so I don't get confused and I don't end up editing the wrong thing. So we're going to have different types of displays based on the current subscription. Okay, so we're going to put a conditional in here. So we're going to say if request, actually we don't have to say request in here, we can just say if user.profile dot subscription type is equals to free, we want to show them something, and then in here we'll have then lf. All right, so if it's free, we want to say if you're in the free what we wanna say that you are currently on the free tier. All right, you can cancel your subscription at any time, no strings attached. Okay, you can think about what you want to say there actually. And then I want to then have this button, all right, but outside of the thing. So then I'm going to have like maybe a button here. I want to see what type of button was this. Let's go open up the profile page and see what kind of button we had there. It was a button danger. Let's look at our buttons. If we look at our please always keep your template open. You're going to refer to it a lot because I want to see what other buttons are there. So I would want to go to my template that I'm using. So this is the template. It's saved in my personal computer. And you're going to search inside your template user interface and look for buttons. So you can see the buttons that are available. You can see the kind of button you want to use. We've used button primary a lot. We haven't used warning and success, info danger. Okay, so we got all of these options, and you got outline buttons we can use as well, and you got outline rounded. You can even get buttons with icons. So maybe I want to use a button with icon this time. Okay, so let's view the page source and search for buttons with icons. Right? Buttons with icons. Let's see. Primary and you have its box icons here. So you have the button there, button primary secondary. So let's see what's there, primary secondary. All right, so that's where the button starts and end, and then inside there's just an icon, and then it says primary. Okay, so let's copy that button. We'll decide whether we want to use it primary or secondary. And this is the rounded pill, so you can use icons even on the rounded pill or even on the outline. Okay, so I'm going to just the normal one. So instead of having just a normal button here, let's put in a button with an icon. All right. And instead of primary, we're going to say, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe, upgrade, subscription. All right, we're gonna call it an upgrade subscription, and then obviously the icon that we want to use, we don't want to use a pie chart icon, so we can also again go back to our template, right, and look under icons. They should have they're using box icons everywhere. That's not a lot of box icons. Okay, they've put in a list here that you can go and have a look. All right, so there's much more here. You can see all the regular, the whatever. You can even search. So I wanna pay. Okay, PayPal, money. There you go, money. So yeah, I actually want to use like this one, hey, money with, let's see, box icon. I want the HTML. Let's see how they have the box icons here. They have STF icons. It's BX, BX pie chart. So that's slightly different. Hey, how do they have it here? Facebook. Okay, as a font. Okay, so it's gonna be BX, money withdraw. How do you copy this? It's copied. All right, so let's paste it in here. Okay, BX money withdraw. All right, so let's put it in here, BX money withdraw. All right, so that's the icon that we want. All right, and then we're gonna say upgrade subscription inside of the button. And then so when someone upgrades a subscription, we want to be able to say what are they upgrading to? Are they upgrading to or maybe let's do it step by step. All right, so when they are in the free tier, we allow them to upgrade to the $9.99 tier so that we charge only $9.99. So over here, when they choose to upgrade the subscription, what we need to do now is this button should then take them straight to PayPal where they're going to pay us, and then we're going to upgrade their subscription, right? So that's what this button should do. So if the subscription type is free, we're going to do that. Then if the subscription type is like the... let's do that. If the subscription type is what's the next one? User subscription type is starter. If it's starter, we're gonna do that, and then else we're gonna do nothing. I mean, it's gonna be either free or else we don't display anything else. It's gonna be advanced. Maybe we'll find a way to just say, your subscription is up to date or whatever. So if it's free, we're gonna have alert success, and then you're currently on the free tier. You can cancel your subscription anytime, no strings attached. Upgrade to the starter tier to get up to 40,000. So 40,000 words per month. Right. Then they're gonna click that button to upgrade the subscription. All right. So we're gonna do the exact same thing, and then say if they are on the starter, we're gonna display something else. We're gonna say, oh, you are currently on the starter option tier. Okay, you can cancel your subscription at any time, no strings attached. Upgrade to the advanced tier for unlimited words per month. All right, and then there's an upgrade subscription button there. And then if they are, so maybe let's give it a different color. Warning is like it's not nice. So let's put in info, and then if like they are on the everything actually, so let's put info, and let's see another color. What other color did we have for buttons here? Let's see, user interface, buttons, because I don't want to use green. Let's use warning here, the first one, and then we'll use success for when you are fully subscribed. Right, so when you're fully subscribed, then we just we show a button success, right? We show an alert success, and we say, oh, you are currently on the advanced tier. Okay, you can cancel your subscription at any time, no strings attached. Okay, you have unlimited words per month, right? And there's no button. So there's basically two buttons here. This first button will this button, the first button is the one that should take the person to the initial subscription of $9.99, and the second button is the button that should take the person to the subscription of obviously you know, the increase, the $29, the you know, the advanced subscription. Now this is if the person is not subscribed. The person will always be, yeah, okay. So then we've got there's another problem that could happen here. What if the subscription changes? Let's say the person cancels their subscription, we just take them to their default. So if the person, so we might not even need this variable at all, hey? Because what will happen here is, when we do our test and our checks, our monthly checks, if the person cancels their subscription for whatever reason, we just, you know, bump them down to the free tier. All right, so we don't actually need to check for if there is a subscription there, okay? Because this is the default. It will always be the free one, or either the starter or the you know, the advanced one, which is the last one. Okay, cool. Actually, instead of saying starter here, we need to actually specifically check for this, hey? So if instead of saying else there, all right, let's like copy this whole thing. If it's equals to advanced. So let's check for advanced specifically, because we could have a problem here by saying else, because it could include everything else, maybe even things that's not advanced. Okay, so this is not a good practice to do it that way. Let's do it like that, and then else, I don't know what we're going to do here. Something went wrong. This should not happen. But at least let's rather test for that the subscription type is specifically advanced instead of just saying else, because else then includes everything else. And if there's an error that we make in our model later on and it doesn't fit into 1.2, it will assume that the person is advanced when they're not. So let's actually test specifically for that. All right. Now, let's do our so this button here, but let's check actually that these buttons show prop first. Okay, so let's save everything. Coolio. Right, so if we now go to Karabo over there, let's go to the billing page. There you go. So when you get to the billing page, it says account settings, billing, and upgrade subscription, and then it shows you you're currently on the free tier. All right, you can cancel your subscription at any time, no strings attached. Upgrade to the starter tier and get up to 4,000 words per month. All right, and then upgrade subscription. Why is it not showing my box icon over there? Because this upgrade subscription should have this icon. That's weird. Let's have a look at how they have it here. Let's copy it exactly the way it is here. All right, let's copy it exactly the way that it is there and see if that icon comes through, unless if we haven't properly installed the fonts. icon. Did I save it? Yep. Right, so let's have a look at our icon there. Why is it not coming through? Let's refresh our Karabo again. Is this running? All right, so this icon is definitely not showing. All right, so it's just probably a template thing, but there's an icon showing there under billing. So how did we do that one? Let's have a look. Here where it says billing, there is, yeah, BX user, me1. There you go. You see that icon? Next to this href. And it's got a margin of 1 and there. So BX user is there. And this one, BX money withdrawer. Let me just copy this and see what am I getting wrong. What am I missing here? Unless if I don't have that icon available in my package, which is also possible. BX money withdraw, and then you put ME2. So then how are we going to know which icons we have access to? Because perhaps, it could be that, some of these icons are like, advanced ones which you have to pay for. I don't know. Sometimes that happens. Or maybe the package that we use just didn't have all of them. So what you can also do again is you can download the latest version from here, and then you can update your HTML with it. So it's fine. I'm going to leave it here and I can fix it later. It's a small problem. I'm not overly worried about it. Probably what you need to do is to upgrade this latest version, which should have all of this, because it doesn't seem that you have to pay for them, that you need to have an advanced membership or anything like that. It's a GitHub page. Doesn't look like it's, highly commercial. So probably this will be fixed if you just download the latest version. Okay. Then what I'm going to do then is now it's time to do the PayPal payment integration. So I've written some notes here that will sort of help us across along with our steps that we're going to follow, because there are very specific steps you need to follow when you're doing payment integrations. And I just want to give you a high level understanding as well, so that you don't miss a step. Okay, so this is available in our notes, which I no longer link in the description because it sort of like disrupts my website. So what you can do is just take a screenshot or something, okay, or pause this right here, take a screenshot, and then you can refer to the notes later. I'm not going to link it in the description anymore. Now, there are two steps. There are two sort of processes that are running in parallel, okay? The first one is, last week I did ask you to open a developer account and get your access keys with PayPal. Then we're gonna then test some of these access keys on Postman. We'll do this together, and then we'll write the code and then do a test transaction for it. Okay, so we'll do it in such a way that when somebody clicks this button immediately, it does a subscription payment or something like that. And I could have done this with Stripe as well, but I decided to use PayPal instead because PayPal is more accessible to everybody. PayPal is so simple. You can just go to their website. So just search for PayPal. The first thing that you need to do is you need to go to paypal.com. And if you don't have a PayPal account, you can just open a new one right now. You can just sign up. Okay, that's all you need to do. All right. Then after you've signed up, you can even sign up for a business account if you want. They will ask you for some business documentation. They will ask you to send through your business documents, and then you can send them through and then they approve. They are very, very fast and efficient. I've done this many times. This is probably the most accessible platform for me to use. So doing a YouTube video, I'd rather use a PayPal as an option because it's an option that everybody can use. If I use a Stripe, for example, because I can do the integration on Stripe as well, the challenge with Stripe is not available for everybody in all the countries. There are some countries where Stripe is not available, especially here in South Africa where I am based. You can't actually open a Stripe account if your business or you yourself are based in South Africa with a South African bank account. You have to have a bank account in specific countries. So the solution to that is to register your business in the US or in some other country where you can open a bank account in that country and then use that for your Stripe account. All right, that is a long process which maybe people on YouTube are not going to be able to follow along. So I'm not going to do a Stripe integration for this video. I will do the PayPal integration, but perhaps on my channel, on my website, website, when I do release the advanced video, it will have sections which are not available on YouTube, and maybe for that one I will do a Stripe integration, and by then I will just assume that, okay, you do have a Stripe account. We're not going to go into the process of getting a Stripe account, and then I'll show you the Stripe integration. But it is very simple. If you can get the principles of the PayPal integration, you'll be able to do any other integration because they all follow the same process, and I'm going to show you that process now. Okay. The first thing that you do is that you need to have a payment page. This is a page where someone clicks on a button and then they have to agree to make a payment. All right. It's like a checkout page. So assume this is like our checkout page. All the payment integrations have it. And you need to then integrate the payment inside of the HTML part because the user has to give some sort of consent. All right. So there'll be like either a pop-up or it routes to another window where, the user now enters their information. All right. So you submit a payment request to the payment processor company, whether it's PayPal or whatever you're using, and then the user will then enter their information, their credit card information. That normally happens in a different screen outside of your application. So when you have a button like this button, when someone clicks it, it routes them to the PayPal, a server or the PayPal application part. It routes them away from your app. All right. So you have to then give it return URLs. You have to give it the payment and success page URLs because it needs to know, okay, after the person has made a successful payment, where must we send them to? If the payment was a failure, where must we send them to? So normally when you submit this payment request, you will give it a success URL and a failure URL where it must reroute the person when they've made the payment. Okay. All payment processing works like this. Once you've done that and the person has approved or agreed to the payment, enter their credit card information, that information actually is stored inside of the payment processor company. Like if it's PayPal stores that information. PayPal is the one that will keep the credit card information. It's the one that will keep the username, the email of the person that is submitting the payment request. Okay, you just tell PayPal how much they need to charge that person. Okay, and then PayPal collects the information and charges that person and then tells you whether the payment has gone through or not. Okay, then normally what will happen is that the money then sits with PayPal when the payment has taken place, and then PayPal within a couple of days then processes that money into your personal account. Then you will go into your PayPal account wherever it is. All right. And then once you've created a PayPal account, you will say to PayPal, please deposit the monies into this bank account or whatever. You'll find a way to withdraw from PayPal yourself in your own time. So when the payment processing goes through, the money actually sits with PayPal until you withdraw it out of PayPal. And all the other payment processing works like that, exactly the same. All right. And then if it's a subscription payment, on a monthly basis on that specific date, the subscription will go out. PayPal will inform you if the subscription has gone through or hasn't gone through. This is where the webhooks come in. Okay, this is a very important part of payment integration. As soon as you process a payment, PayPal simultaneously will do a webhook. A webhook is sort of like think about it as a broadcast. Right? So PayPal will broadcast information to you. Like it will send you some info. It will tell you that we have made a successful payment. This is over and above this rerouting to a payment in a successful page. So it will reroute the user, yes, and then it will also broadcast the response to the webhook that you give it. Okay, so and all the payment processes work exactly the same. If you figure out how to do it with PayPal, you'll figure out how to do it with Stripe or any other. They all similar. They all work similarly in this fashion. That there will be some sort of webhook that you will subscribe to, which is like a broadcast you subscribe to, and then when they something goes through, they do a post request on your webhook. All right, they will tell you, oh, the payment has gone through, or payment has not gone through. So even with the subscription payments, which now happen monthly, now after you've done all of this on a monthly basis, you can just subscribe to that webhook, and then every month they will send a post request. So you just need to have like a view inside of here. And a URL which processes that webhook which you're gonna create. You will create the webhook. So you will create inside of your URL a specific URL that you can call PayPal webhook. And then that URL will have a specific path that you will give to PayPal. And then that path, when they send a broadcast, you will catch it via a post request. So you'll have to create a view which only accepts post requests, and then you will then get that post request every time, and then you'll get that package, whatever it is they sent, and then you will go through it and see, oh, this person has made a payment again, and then you update your database. Best practice is not to update your database here when they send you to the success or failure page. Good practice, best practice is to update your database on the webhook, because this is where it's more secure, and you can have like a hash string of sorts, which is, only and PayPal know, so that if any other person tries to submit something to your webhook, you can check that hash string and check that this is PayPal, and there's some fancy things you can go into for security, which I might or might not cover. It depends on how much time we've got. But this is how you do it professionally, okay? But maybe for today, in the interest of time, we'll just do we'll do the simple version. But obviously, never do this in a live application. In a live application, you have to rely and work with the webhooks with a proper hash string. I know I've said a lot, but I was just giving you like a high level of what it is we're gonna cover, and then we're gonna go through it step by step and cover it, okay? So the first thing, like I said, go and open up your PayPal account. If you don't have a PayPal account, pause this video here. Go and create one, and then you can come back. After you've opened your PayPal account, go to this URL here, which says developer.paypal.com. That I will link in the description below. Okay, so these URLs I will link in the description. So you need to get a developer account. Okay, so you need to go to search for PayPal developer. All right. And that is separate from normal PayPal. You can have a normal PayPal, and then you still have to go to developer PayPal, which is a different URL. It's a different website altogether, because not everyone that uses PayPal is also a developer. So when you go to PayPal developer, the first time you get there, you will see a page like this, all right? And then just go to here where it says get API credential. It's very, very easy. So I'm not even going to close this page. I will open it in a new window so you can see get PayPal credentials. And then it will ask you to log in, all right? So let me log in there. All right. So I've got a couple of applications here. So when you log in, it takes you immediately to your application. So it works similar. If you worked with APIs, they're all the same. You have to create like a project or an application, and then you get specific keys just for that project. So I could have like 10 or 20 applications that I use PayPal payments on, and each and every one of them, I will create a different. Don't use the same keys in all of your applications. Bad practice. I know people who do that. Okay, don't do that. If you have like, let's say 3 different websites that even though you're using the same PayPal account on all of them, create different keys for each and every single website. Because if you then get compromised on one website, it doesn't compromise all the other ones, you understand? So when you get here, you can click create app. All right, so just click that button, and then it will ask you what you want to call your app, or something like that. And then it will create an app for you, okay? So I'm not going to do that because I've already created an app, but you'll see over there, you can enter the app name, all right? And then you can decide whether you're a merchant or a platform, all right? A merchant is to accept payments as a seller, or here is to move payments to sellers as a platform, like a marketplace. So we're not going to be a platform, we're going to be a merchant, because people are paying only us. People are checking out on our website. We're not like processing payments between multiple people. We're not like a marketplace. Then you're going to pick a business account that you want, all right? There is 2 different, and the thing is that the moment you get here the first time, it will take you to you will see the sandbox. You're in the sandbox. What the sandbox is like your testing platform, and you always want to start inside of the sandbox. You don't want to start on a live application, and by default it will take you to the sandbox, but you'll see here is the sandbox to the left, and then there's mock, and then there's the live one. All right, so don't go to the live one, just go start with the sandbox, and you'll see the accounts and the APIs and all of that. So I'm not going to create a new app, because I actually already created an app for this when I was checking this out earlier on. So I'm just going to go back, but in your case, create the app. And after you've created the app, then go into the app. So I've called mine Karabo, and this is a sandbox application. So it's fine even if I show you my IDs and everything. All right. So you're going to get a client ID and a client secret. Okay. These are very, very important because you're going to use this to be able to make the API calls. All right. So once you get here, make sure that you are in this place before you can continue. Everything that we're doing going forward, you're going to need this information that I have in front of you. Okay. If you don't have it, you can pause the video here, go and get your developer account, troubleshoot how to go into the sandbox, create an app, go into your app and make sure that you can see your sandbox account number, your client ID, and then you can see your client secret. Okay. Okay, cool guys. Let us continue. So now you've got your client ID and your client secret. You're gonna need those to get what they call a token or an API token, which you use to make API calls. All right, but you need even these for some other API calls. So I'm gonna link these URLs in the description below. All right, so we've gone through the first URL, I think. So this first URL is the one which is now going to show us how to get our token. Okay, so the first URL I'm going to link is the one that's API REST authentication. Okay, so that's the first one there. All right, so let's go through this page. So what you need to do here is you need to make a post request to this URL over here. Okay, and then you need to provide these the username and the password and the content type. Okay, so this client ID is going to be the username that you provide, and then the password is going to be the the credentials that you're going to give, and they are both available from this page that you got. Okay, so the client ID is going to be like your username, and then your this is going to be your password. If you're not sure, if you go further down and read the Postman part, they sort of explain to you how you would run this request on Postman. Okay, so on Postman they explain to you, enter this HTTPS as your request URL. Okay, so we're just going to copy it exactly as it is, right, and we're going to copy it, and we're going to find our Postman page, and then we're going to paste it as our request URL. Okay, so I'm going to paste it there, token. All right, token. Okay, I left the N at the end, and I had it already, but I'm just showing it to you now. Then once you've done that, you need to select your authorization tab. So the authorization tab, these are all the different tabs they've got. Okay, so you're gonna select the authorization tab. Okay, and then when you select the authorization tab, from the type, select a basic auth. All right, so here where they've got type, there's like a drop down that you've got there. You got no auth, API key. These are the different types of authentication that you got. Okay, you're gonna select a basic authorization. So once you've done that, in the username field, enter your client ID. So once you select basic auth, you'll see there's a username and a password. Okay, so this username field, let's just remove everything for now. Okay, and let's remove all of this as well so that everything is blank. Okay, in the username field here, you must enter your client ID. So you're gonna go back over there and find your client ID, which is this one. All right, and then we're gonna copy it, and then we're gonna enter the client ID as the username. All right, and then once we've done that, then you continue reading. Then it says in the password field, enter your secret in the password field. So the secret is over here, is this one we got here, right? So you can copy it. All right, and then we're gonna enter it inside of the password field. Let's make sure we copied it correctly. Copy. And then we're going to enter it inside of the password field. We can even do show password to make sure we've copied it correctly. It's EFMBG, which is what it starts with over there. All right. Then once you've done that, it says then select the body tab. Okay. And then select X form URL encoded option. Okay. So we're going to go to the body type. Okay. And then we're going to select X www form URL encoded, which is this one over there. All right, so under once we've selected that, we're going to say in the key, enter grant type. So this is the key. We're going to enter grant type, which I've just typed it in there. If it wasn't there, you could just copy it from here exactly the way it is, grant type, and then you could enter it in there. All right, and then over the value you say client credentials. Okay, you can copy it again as it is and then paste it there under client credentials. So that's all you got to do. They're giving you basically step by step of how to do this on Postman. Okay, and then after you do that, we're gonna then run send this request, and there you go. So after that, what it does when you send the request, let's just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, Let's leave the grant type open. Then you can see it sends you the scope, okay, the access token, and the token type is a bearer token, and the app ID, and expires in. So this is like it's a short-lived token. It's going to expire very soon. So you got to do it immediately when you want to use it. This is not something you're going to build in an app. But the reason why we're doing this is we want to be able to create our payments requirements, because when you do a subscription payment, you need to actually create the subscription, like the subscription property inside of your own PayPal account, which means that when you do send the payment request over here, when you send the payment request, you already have, when you click this button under the billing, there's a button we're going to click in the billing. This button there, upgrade subscription. When you click this button, you actually have to give it some sort of payment ID, and I'll show you where that is. So if you go to the payment integration, I think it's this one. All right, where we're integrating subscription payments. Let me just double check that. It's this one, I think. All right, this is the code for creating a payment button. You see, it's very easy. You can even copy and paste this whole code, okay? All you need is a script which has your client ID over there. And then you need to say that this is a subscription payment. So that's all you need, right? And then you're going to put in the button, it's going to go in there. This button, once they click it, that's the button that takes them to PayPal or whatever. But you'll see when you process the button there, you need to have a plan ID. Because when someone is clicking a subscription, you need to tell it which subscription are they clicking. You're going to have multiple subscriptions. You need to create it already in your PayPal account. So this plan ID is what we need to get. So what we're doing now, getting our access keys and everything, is so that we can create this plan ID, because otherwise we could just click, put the button, and then we would be ready to go with PayPal. PayPal is very easy to integrate. All you need is a PayPal button and the amount you want to bill. But because we're doing subscriptions, we need a plan ID that we must create a subscription inside of our account that's ready to go. So to do that, that's why we're doing what we're doing. All right. So now we've got our API key. There it is. All right. So once we get our API key, the next step is right at the beginning or top of this page. It takes you through the steps of creating your product, and then after you create your product, then you create your subscription, okay? Or you create a plan. So there are two steps. The first plan is to create a product, and then we use that product to create a subscription plan for that product. And then that subscription plan is the one that we will have on the button, that plan ID, remember, okay? So to create a product, you need to post to this URL called products. Okay, you need to enter the content type, the authorization, it's a post request. And then you need to enter these details, the name of the product, the description of the product, the type, the category, and all these other things that are important, okay? So now we're going to go back to our Postman, now that we've got our access token, because that's going to be required, because we need to enter the access token inside of, there's an access token that we need to change somewhere there. All right. And then we need to change the request ID with whatever the ID that we want to put in there. So now I've already saved this. I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to go to the next window where I did this request. Okay. So you'll see the URL is this HTTPS API sandbox catalogs products. It's this URL that you see over there. And I will link this part in the description as well. So I've got that URL saved in there. So once you save the URL, you need to then do the post content type. You need to enter under authorization, bearer access. But before that, so what we do here is we don't go to this authorization part. We go into the headers, okay? This is where we're going to enter our information. So the last time when we were getting our token, we went into the authorization to authorize with the username and password. But now we're going to the headers, because a bearer token, if you see that double -H, it means this goes into the header of the request. So we must go into the headers, and then in the headers, we're going to specify a variable called authorization. And then that variable called authorization, we're going to enter the authorization amount value. And the authorization value is bearer and then the access token that you've got. This access token is the access token we got from the previous call, okay? So I'm going to then remove this old access token I was testing with, because this is not going to work anymore. All right, so I'm going to say bearer, and I'm going to make some space, and then I'm going to copy this access token from here, because now you need to get your latest one, the one which is still valid, that valid access token. Okay, so we're going to copy that access token there, and then we're going to put it under bearer, make some space and then add that access token. And then after that, we need to specify the another header value. You'll see there, it says a PayPal request ID. So you can copy this exactly as it is and paste that in there. That's the next header element. And then you're going to put in a product value. Now, this product value, this number is a number you choose. This is your number, okay? So you need to have in your database based on your, values of, subscription options that you've got. You're going to create a unique ID perhaps in your own internal systems for this, okay? So you can put in any number here, right? So I'm going to choose to say product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to say it's product 001. All right. And then the next one, because I need to have two different subscription values for my case, because I've got the case of the $9 subscription, I've got the case of the $29 subscription, okay? So the $9 subscription, let me just write in my notebook so I don't forget what I've done. For the $9 subscription, which is going to be the starter pack, okay? For the starter pack subscription, the product value that I'm going to use is going to be, so this one is the one we're going to create first, okay? So this product is going to be, I'm going to call it a product. And there's going to be a dash. And let me see, it's going to be how many ones? 6 ones, okay? So it's 1 6 times. So let me just make sure. 1 2 3 1 2 3. All right, so it's 1 2 3 4 5 6. And then it's 001, okay? That is just a number I've picked for myself. You can pick any value that you like at this stage, okay? So you enter your product value in there. And then the -d is now the data that goes into, so this is like the JSON object that you're going to be pushing through, okay? So this JSON that you got to specify is you got to give it a name, a description, a type, a category, and if you got a URL for it, okay? So we need to go to the body. All right, so in the body, we're going to specify these kind of things, all right? So the name, I'm going to call it Karabo Online AI Writer. So I'm going to call it actually Karabo Starter Subscription, okay? And then for the description, I'm going to say Karabo Online AI Writer, all right? For your writing needs, the $9 starter subscription. Cool. And then it's a service, it's a software, and then I'm gonna keep the same URL and everything. So over here, I'm not gonna change, but if you had like a product page that was specific to your product, which you could do, because what you can do over here is when you're building your Karabo, you could have like a page where you just dedicate to one of the different services if you like, okay? But I'm gonna leave that blank and see what happens, all right? But it's definitely a service, and the category I'm just gonna say software, and then I'm gonna do that, okay? So then now, once we've done all of this, we should be able to run this, and you need to modify the code, of course, and make sure you enter your own access token, and you enter your access token here on the headers. Under authorization bearer, you put your access token in there. And then after that, you need to enter a PayPal request ID. That must be your own unique internal request ID, which you will remember is a request ID for that product, okay? So once you've done that, you should be able to then run this code, okay? And then you should go and create a product for you, okay? And very, very important, remember what it has returned, okay? This is the product it has created, all right? And then that's the name of the description and whatever. And at this point, we haven't even entered like prices or anything. We're just defining a product because we're going to use that product to then define the subscription, okay? So once you've entered the product, we're going to continue down, continue reading the page. You'll see this is the kind of response you should be getting, okay? And you can look at your response as well. It should look similar to the response that's shown in here. Then that means you're doing well. Now the next part is now you got to create your plan. Your plan is now your subscription plan, okay? Now every time someone subscribes, okay, we need to create 2 products here, okay? So the first product is this one. So let me actually copy all of this information and paste it somewhere, all right? Because I need to create 2 products. Remember, I've got 2 subscriptions here. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just create a random page in the root of my, and I'm going to create a new plan. I'm going to say to be deleted .json. I want a JSON file, and I'm going to just paste that response there because I don't want to lose this information. Because if I rerun this, call is gonna then rewrite this product with a different number, because what I need to do now is I need to then create a product number 2. All right, and then I need to go. So now this is a second subscription plan, because you have one subscription plan, which is the $9 plan, and the second one is going to be the $29 plan. You need to do this twice. And then for the body of the $20 plan, I'm going to say it's not the starter subscription. I'm going to say it's the advanced. Did we call it advanced, or did we call it, what did we call the second one? Let me just have a look quickly. So inside of the billing, I think the second one we called upgrade to advanced. Okay, so let's say this one is now the advanced. So Karabo advanced subscription, Karabo online AI writer for 90 days. So this is now the $29 plan. Advanced subscription is not a starter anymore. All right, and that's everything that I need to give it for now. And a service is a software, and I'm going to keep the same URL. So I've changed this name to the advanced subscription. I've changed the description as well to say that it's a $29 advanced subscription. Okay, so it's slightly different. Those are the two things we changed, and we changed also the header to say we gave it a different product request ID, so that it will have a different product request ID. So basically what it should do now when we run this, it should run the same code, but this time it's giving me a different product ID. So this product ID should be slightly different from the first product ID, because I'm going to need both those product IDs to specify the different product subscription values. All right, so let me then copy this and go in here and go to the to be deleted, and then I'm going to paste the second one. You'll see this product here is not going to be the same as the initial product. Okay, it's the same as this one in there, but this one is a different product ID. Okay, so basically what we've done now is that we've created two different products, one for $29, one, but we haven't even specified the price yet. We specify just the product. We're going to go into specifying the price now. Okay, so now we're going to create a plan. Okay, so for a plan, that's where you enter a price of how much your plan is worth and the period and all sorts of things. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm gonna specify what's required here. All right, so let's see. You gotta do a post request to this URL which says billing plans. So I'm gonna do a different postman call. It's the one which says APIM sandbox PayPal billing plans, which is this one we've got over here. Obviously in production we're not going to use the sandbox. We're going to be doing the production billing plan URL. Okay, and then we're going to say accept a JSON, and then we're going to enter the bearer access token the same way we did before. So under headers where it says bearer, just remove whatever that was there before. If there's nothing there, you're going to have to create it again. You're going to say authorization and enter bearer, and then enter your access token here. Your access token obviously is this one from that you just created now. All right, we're gonna paste that access token in there. No, what's happening? I'm trying to get the access token here. All right, so let's get this. Let's copy just this part. Okay, and then go back in here under bearer, and then paste that access token, that A211. Is that A211? Okay. Then once we've done that, A21, and then the plan, so a PayPal request ID, we need to specify that as well. You'll see there is the PayPal request ID, and then you're going to also give it a plan number, all right? So for this one, I'm going to call it plan. I'm going to actually give it the same 6 ones that I had before, all right? So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then this will be the first plan that I've got in there, and this will be the plan for the $9 request. Right, so let's then see what else you need to do. So you need to specify the request ID. Both of these are in the headers. Okay, so the accept application JSON, authorization, the content type, and then the PayPal request ID. So I'm going to ignore these ones, because if you're working with Postman, it will sense already that you're giving it a JSON, and you don't have to actually specify it explicitly. All right, but if you're doing like a curl request, you might have to do that. So now the next part is the D. The D is actually the data. This is the content of the JSON that you're going to send through. So this is what you got to send, all of this information in here. So you're going to copy all of this, and you're going to go into your body and you can see all the things that you're posting in there. All right, so they all means something specifically different. The important thing is this product ID. This product ID must match a product ID that you've already created. So inside of the product here where you get this product ID, that's the product ID you're going to use here. So it creates a plan for that product. I don't know why they do this in 2 steps, because they don't do it like this in the other Stripe, but with PayPal, that's how you gotta do it. So I'm gonna copy this initial product ID. All right, and this product ID is the one that must go in here, and then over here you're gonna give it a name. Okay, so I'm gonna call this the starter plan. Okay, I'm gonna call this Karabo starter plan. All right, and then I'm gonna say the description is the Karabo starter plan at $9 a month, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 words credit on the AI writer tool. Okay, tool. And then the billing cycles, that's important. Okay, how often do you want PayPal to bill this person? Okay, I want PayPal to bill the person monthly. All right, and then if there's a trial, you can specify the trial period. Okay, so the tenure type trial, let's see. So let's put in here, has 1 month free trial and continues on a 12-month fixed price subscription. I actually don't want a trial period over here, hey? So, because I want them to be billed immediately. So, let's see if we just remove this, okay? Because I don't want a free trial. Okay, let's see, what did we do here? Okay, so this starts there. So it's frequency and that, okay? All right, so let's remove just that part. All right. And then the frequency is 1 month, is a regular frequency, and then total cycles is 12, okay? So this means that it will bill the person for 12 months and then it will stop, okay? So maybe you want to bill as, more than 12 months. Let's see over here. Bill, So this one will 1 month free trial and continues for 12-month fixed price subscription, includes a $10 fee. Next billing cycle allows up to continue if your payment fails. Suspense includes 10% tax in the billing amount. Okay, so where is the tax? I don't see it. Oh, there's the tax at the bottom here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do 12-month billing cycles. All right, because I want this to I'm just gonna remove this. Okay, let's just see what happens when you do that, because this is the example they gave us. What if we don't want to do that? We're just gonna test it out and see. So the fixed price is gonna be $9. Okay, and then the payment preferences, auto bill outstanding true, setup fee. We're not charging anybody for the setup fee. And then if the setup fee failure action continues, they can try 3 times before you suspend the subscription. And then this is the VAT tax percentage, because most of the time when you charge someone, you also have to include a tax. Okay, you have to charge. In South Africa, we call it the value added tax. It is at 15%. So this is where you can specify it. So it will charge them $9 plus that 15%. And I think if you've already included the tax inside of the $9, then you don't add it in here. But normally you will add it on top of whatever price you are charging people, because it's a tax. It doesn't come to you. It goes straight to the government. You have to pay directly. So it's not even part of your fees that you're charging. Okay, so let's try this plan and send this plan options. I've modified what they've got here a little bit. Okay, I've removed the free trial. There's no free trial because there is a free tier. So we got a freemium model where you can get a free tier for, you're not paying, but you got limited words. The moment you start paying, there's no more free trial. You just have to start paying from month 1. Okay. So yeah, so that's what I changed. And what else I changed? I think that's it. Hey, So inclusive false. Otherwise, if you said inclusive true, it would have included it in the $9, which means you would be losing some of your $9 to taxes. So let's send this and see. All right, so the tenure type is invalid because I removed that value that was in there. So I think I can't remove it, okay? So let's see, can you undo what was in here? Okay, let's see, edit, undo. You can't actually undo this. Okay, cool. Unfortunately, then I have to like copy what was there before. So let me remove all of this. So I think I can't just delete it. I must change it to something else, okay? All right, so let's copy it as it was, everything in here, because it looks like I've got to edit it instead of removing certain things. All right, so we're gonna copy it in there, copy that, and then paste in there. Obviously remove that comma at the end, right? Cool. So the product ID is this. Let's get our product. No, let's get our initial, the first one for the $9. All right, let's put it back. That's the product ID. All right, and then the name of this is going to be the Karabo Starter Plan. And then over here, it's going to say Karabo Starter Plan with $9 payable monthly for, for 20, is it 40,000 words per month? Per month on the AI Writer blog tool, something like that. So it's monthly, tenure type. Okay, so let's now figure out what other options are here, because I don't want the so let's search this PayPal tenure types. Okay, because then what other types are there, because I'm curious. I don't want a free trial. So let's see what's in the documentation. I don't see it. Prefer content type, tenure type. There you go, Texas. Let me search tenure type. Let's find it. So here it's got a trial tenure type as well. I don't want the trial. I don't want to give people a tenure type. There you go. What is this one? Regular. Okay, so it's not a trial. Can you change this to regular? Because I want to see what options are there. So you got regular, you've got trial, you've got regular, trial, regular. Okay, so you've got a trial and regular. So what you could do here, instead of having trial on the tenure type, because I don't want to give a free trial. Okay. All right, so you can have regular, and then frequency is every month, sequence is 1. All right. I feel like I'm missing something here. Let's see what else is there. Billing plans, PayPal developer. Where is there somebody, like, this documentation is such a nightmare Hey, like they don't always explain clearly what it is you're supposed to be doing here. I think that's the same page we were at before. Okay. PayPal tenure type options and their meanings. Okay, we're gonna have to please research this because I don't want to waste time now on this video trying to research this. I need to figure out what does this mean, okay? The sequence and the cycles, because there when it was a trial, you knew that it meant a trial for 1 month, okay? But I don't want to give a free trial, okay? Because I've already, you know, so the tenure type should be a regular tenure type. You know, interval count, total cycles. So let's change this to like 12 for 1 month, okay? And then the frequency is a month, interval is every month, the tenure type is regular. So you get the regular tenure type there, and you get the regular tenure type there as well. Because I think this is the one that covers the full month. Okay, then there's the pricing of $10, which we're gonna charge $9 US. And then the value, auto billing, the value is $9 US, and try 3 times, and then the tax percentage is 15 tax percent. Okay, so spend time researching some of these things. Okay, there's only so much I can do on the camera without wasting too much time, and I will double check this because I hardly ever do subscriptions with PayPal. All right, so we have to just read this and make sure. Otherwise, you can always do the subscriptions inside of the dashboard, because you can also do them like you can log into your PayPal page and actually do it directly from your dashboard, and you don't have to do it via the API. Okay, so let's send this and see. Okay, so we've sort of I've tried changing it a little bit, and I think what you need to do is over here, if you look at the JSON properly, right, there's like an object over there, and then there's another object over here. All right, and these are like similar objects. This is actually billing cycles are a list. This is a list. You know, you can see this is an array, and this array has got this object in it, and then it's got another object in it. So basically all you have to do is to remove this object that says trial, remove the entire thing, because what I was deleting only this part. Remove the entire object and only have one object that says frequency, month, interval count is 1, and it's a regular, and all of that, and the total cycles. And I will change it from 12 to, I don't know, let's say 48, right? 12, 24, 48. That's like, let's see, what is 12 times like 5 years? Like subscribe people for 5 years at a time. Yeah, let's put 48 there. All right. And then this is sequence 1. All right, because I think I've removed that first sequence, which was, this was sequence 1, and then this was sequence 2. So I think now that will be sequence 1, and then the total cycles will be 48. So if you read this again, read it like you're reading code properly, right? The frequency is 1 month. The interval is 1, okay? The tenure type is regular. The sequence is the first one, and the total cycle is 48, and then you can have the pricing in there, all right? And then you have the payment, for instance. So let's run this one and give it a chance. There you go. So it ran successfully this time. So I think all we had to do initially was, you must delete the entire initial, frequency, the entire, object, so that you only have one object, because this object was for the free trial, and this one was for the full amount. Now, if you wanted to give somebody a free trial, you would leave this in. So it means that even though they've subscribed the first month, they're not getting charged anything because they're in the free trial, and then they only get charged after the second one. This is where you want to give somebody a free trial, but you want to give the credit card information anyway, so that by the time the free trial runs out, they forget to cancel it, and then they get it charged. So you could use this to entice people to sign up to your subscription without paying the first month. Okay, so now I'm good to go here. I'm gonna copy what I've got here. I'm gonna copy all of this, and I'm gonna go into my document where I've saved all my stuff, and I'm gonna save this response at the bottom, because this one has got my plan ID. This is a plan ID that I need on the button, remember? And this is the product that I entered for that plan ID. So the only thing I'm going to change now is I'm going to run the same thing, but with a different product, okay? So this was a 6mm product, which was this one. I'm going to do now this for the next one with the $29 product. Okay, because I need another plan ID for the $29 product. Okay, so I'm going to remove that product there and put in that one there. And this is not the starter plan. This is now the advanced plan. Okay, the advanced plan, and this is the Karabo advanced plan for $29 a month. Subscription AI content writer, and then we're going to leave everything else exactly the same, and then we're going to run this again. Okay, and this time is... No, why do I still have starter plan? Okay, wait, this is product 50. This is the advanced plan, and I'm in what do I have here? The 50K whatever. So let's run this again. No. Unless if I rerun the starter, you know, because this should be the Karabo advanced, okay? The name and the description should say advanced. This is 00, product 002. Oh, I know. Oh, okay, flip. This is my mistake. Okay, so what I need to do when I rerun this the second time around, when I need to change this on the headers to give it a different header. Otherwise, it's actually running the same thing. All right. So let's change that. Okay, then I've got the advanced plan. That's good. So let's open that up, because you're running the same product ID, and it's got the same product, and then it's not creating a new one. Okay, so let's paste that in there. And then now we've got this different product ID, which should be different from that one. And this is a starter plan. This is the advanced plan, and this one should now charge $29. Okay, and this one charges $9. Okay, cool. So we are done with our postman for now. Everything we're going to do next, because the next part of our project is going to be now implementing the button. Okay, so we're going to now be able to go and implement this PayPal button on the page and just put in our client ID, and then now we've got our plan ID. Our plan ID is now these two plan IDs that we've got over here. Okay, this plan ID there and the plan ID there. Keeping in mind that you could have done this manually on the dashboard. Actually, I've done this a lot on the thing. You just log into your dashboard, and then you can manually actually enter the plan, a product, and the ID. But I was just showing you as well how to do it programmatically with your access tokens. Okay, so the next part is going to be now us implementing this PayPal button. And keep in mind, once you create the plan ID, it's going to remain valid all the time. You don't have to renew your access token every time, to work with the plan ID. You only need to renew your access token as a login mechanism to go into it, to authorize yourself in the application. But now that you have your plan ID, this plan ID is always valid. It doesn't have to be renewed or revived every day or whatever. The access token has done its job in a way. The job for the access token was to help you actually create the plan ID. But once you have the plan ID is now valid to use, all the time. So what we're going to do next now is implement the PayPal button. Right, so let's start implementing this PayPal button. So which page is it? I'm looking for it. Where is it? Over here. Okay, so there's a couple of things you need to do. You'll see there is a script here that you've got to copy. So just like highlight, obviously these are the things that the page must have, which your typical HTML should have. So let us copy that script at the top there and go to our page, and we can see it's inside of the body element of the HTML. So we need to put it inside of, where's our HTML, our billing page. The body, it needs to be somewhere inside here. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put it closer to where my buttons are so that I know where to find it, right? And I need to put it only on this specific page. I don't want to put it on the layout page because I don't want this JavaScript to run on every single layout page. I only want it on this one page. So I need to put it inside of the block body some way. Okay, it doesn't really matter where, as long as it's ahead of the buttons. Okay, so don't put it below the buttons. I think it will still work below the buttons. I don't know, but I think it needs to be ahead of the buttons based on how the example is showing you, okay? So that the button can render on that JavaScript. And you'll see over here, it's www.paypal.com client ID. Then you need to replace this with your client ID. And you can see a note over there saying add your client ID. So basically you need to remove this, your client ID there. All right, and then you need to put your specific client ID. So let's go and have a look at our client ID. I think it's this one here. So I'm just going to copy this client ID, and then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to paste it there. So this is what then helps PayPal identify where the payment must go to, because everyone uses the same URL, but everyone has got a different payment ID. And this payment ID, this client ID, it doesn't have to be a secret. It's not a secret. It's a public one. So technically, this is going to render on your HTML, and people can see this code if they want to see it, if they go into viewing the code for your page. And I don't think it's not important. They're not going to do much. They can't do harm with it. What you must definitely not share with anybody else is your client secret. So this is something like your username. And this is very, very important. This is what you must always keep private. Never ever display this on your HTML anyway. And you don't need to display it here. So that's a good thing. We actually only use this in the beginning to get our access token, if you remembered, okay? Then once we've done our client ID, let's go back to the code and see what's next. Then we've got this script that we've got the payment. This is the payment button. So this div here renders the entire payment button for PayPal. Okay, so let's just copy that and go and look for where the button is. So we've got two places where we are rendering the button. Okay, the first place where we are rendering the button is over here. All right, so this button there. Upgrade subscription. This is supposed to be the free tier, all right? Not the free tier. Okay, so when you're on the free tier, you're gonna see this button and it takes you to the starter tier, all right? So let's remove this button now. We don't need the button primary. We can just replace this with the PayPal button container, okay? And then over here where you would be upgrading from, if the person was on the starter and they would be upgrading to the advanced one, there's a button there as well. So we're going to replace that button with this one, with this PayPal button container. And obviously the last option, there's no button. So there are two places we're displaying the button, but these buttons are not displaying at the same time. These are optional conditional displays. So if the user subscription type is free, then they will see this button, all right? And if the user subscription is starter, then they will see the other button. But you'll see currently they both have the same button ID, which is going to be a problem. We don't want that. We probably want them to be two different buttons. Okay, so we can even call this PayPal button container option 1, all right, so that they can be specifically different buttons, and this one can be option 2, so that when we do the JavaScript, we know which button we're referring to. All right, then at the bottom there, inside of the script, you then render the entire function that renders the button. Okay, so I'm going to copy this whole script as it is. Okay, and I need to put it at the bottom of the page before the end body script. You could technically put it in here, but that's not good practice. Good practice is to put all the script and group all the scripts in one place. So at the bottom of the page, you need to have where your scripts are. But you can see this HTML page is extending the dashboard.html. So there isn't actually any JavaScript on this page. All the JavaScript is on the layout page, the dashboard.html. You can see there's the CSS at the top, and there is the JavaScript at the bottom, and the body fits in somewhere in here where we slosh in the body. Okay, but I don't want to render this JavaScript on the main dashboard layout page, because that means that this JavaScript will run on every other page where we are rendering. We actually want this to run only on this billing page. So what are we going to do? We need to actually slot it in here. So you see, if you go to the bottom of the page where all the JavaScript is, you can see there's some vendor JavaScript space, and there's a space here where you can put in your own what they call like page JavaScript, and you can just look for a place underneath all the JavaScript in the page, because you definitely want this to run after the jQuery and the basic JavaScript for the page, right? and then right at the bottom before the body closes, right? You can put it right at the bottom, like over here. You can say, you can enter a new block, and you can say this is a block JavaScript or block JS. All right, you can call it anything you want, and then you say end block. All right. So it means that everywhere you're going to insert this block JavaScript, it will insert that block in this part of the page of the layout. Okay, so inside of the billing page, you can then go right at the bottom outside of this existing block, or this is block body. So outside of block body, you can make a little bit of space at the bottom. Then you can create a new block that you're going to call block JavaScript. Right, and then you can then close this block over there and say end block. All right, so what's going to happen is everything that you paste in here is JavaScript code that is going to run, okay, on this. And the second option, which is probably better practice, is to build a whole JavaScript file. All right, so you can go inside of your you can go inside of your static, and then you can go inside of your static for this page. I think it was admin we called it, and you can go into the JavaScript. This is where we have all the JavaScript for the page. You could just create a new file here, and you could call it billing.javascript, whatever you want to call it, and then you could put that JavaScript in there. It will also work, and then you just have to remember then to import it the way you have imported all the other JavaScripts at the bottom. The way you call all the other ones, you can then call that main JS, a billing.javascript. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay, so this is probably best practice, is to create your own JavaScript file in here. That way the JavaScript doesn't show on the page, because you'll see, if you look at my page over here, right, like Karabo, where's my website? If you look at my page over here, if I right click on this page and I go to view page source, all right, you can see I can see everything that's on the page from the top, okay, all the way to the bottom, including all the JavaScript. So I'm trying to squish this in here inside of the page JavaScript. All right, that means that somebody who right clicks will be able to see what my code looks like at the bottom here. That's why you probably want to put this on another page, on a different file, and just show the script import. Then nobody actually sees what's in here, but if they click on the main, actually they do see it if they want to see it. So that's the pain of JavaScript and programming, is that you can't actually keep your script private. People can see what you've written. So anyway, so block JavaScript, you go in there, and then you paste the JavaScript inside of this space that you said block JavaScript, and then what will happen is that it will render this block inside of this space of your page. You see. Then let's look at our code again. Let's see what we've got. And then that's it. Okay, that looks like that's all you need to do to get this kind of button. All right. So let's read our JavaScript page. It says create subscription. Okay. Function, there's data and actions, and then return action subscription create, and then you need to enter your plan ID over here. All right. So to find our plan ID, I think we copied it. We've got two plan IDs. This is the product ID, and then we created the first plan, which was the starter plan, and then we created the second plan, which was the advanced plan. Okay, so the starter plan, I'm going to copy it over there. All right, I'm going to copy that starter plan, and then I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to put in that plan ID over there, and then I'm going to say this one will create the starter plan subscription. All right. And then after that, what it will do on approve, there'll just be an alert for now. Okay, if this approved payment gets done. Obviously, we don't want an alert. You can see this is the subscription ID. I told you that you generally get a subscription ID returned, and we gotta do something with this subscription ID. This subscription ID, we're gonna have to take it and save it. If you remember our models, let's see, if we go into where's our models, you remember there I did create a place for a subscription reference. Okay, so you're gonna have to go save it under this person's profile, this subscription reference, and then change the subscribed to true and the subscription type to move it from from free to starter. So there's something we need to do inside of the profile of the user, so that suddenly they can now have 4,000 words instead. So this is not going to be the end of what we're going to do. All right, we're going to do more. We're going to take the subscription ID, and then we're going to update the subscription for the user. Okay, and then on approve, we need another option here, which is on cancel, because the user can not approve. It happens that they go to the payment page, maybe the payment doesn't happen, the payment fails or whatever. So we need to have an option for on cancel, and I see they don't have the code for it here. So I looked for it in other places and I found it on the buttons page, and I will link this URL as well. Okay, so we need to have this option of on cancel, which happens when the payment is unsuccessful. Okay, so just add a comma there and say on cancel, and then you'll do something here on cancel. So for now on cancel, I'm just going to alert, because we're just testing this button for now. All right, you have canceled your subscription. All right, yeah, you have canceled your subscription. Let's just do it like that. Okay, on cancel. So this alert has got a thingy at the end. All right, this happens when when the transaction is canceled, right? All right, and then this then renders the PayPal button. Okay, so we're gonna test button number 1. All right, so PayPal container button number 1, we're gonna test that one. Obviously, we need to do the same thing for button number 2. It means that we need to run this again. We need to create another script which now renders button number 2 and then uses a different subscription ID, because remember we've got 2 different subscription IDs. So the second button, which will be a different ID button, will have a different subscription number. So this will be the starter plan $9 subscription. All right, and you'll see we use that subscription ID for that plan ID for that, and when you do container 2, we will have the other one. All right, but I'm not going to do that this week because the video is going a little bit too long. Let's just quickly test this one and see what happens with this one, and then we'll take it from there. Perhaps we'll finish this off next week. Wrong password. I knew it. Cool, yo. So let's then restart this server. Let's restart this. Cool. So what we're going to do now when we get here is that we're going to go back to Karabo, and then we're just going to refresh this page, which we should see the PayPal buttons now. So now on the billing page, somebody will immediately see the PayPal button. They can choose to pay with credit card, or they can choose to pay with PayPal. So let's click pay with PayPal and see it takes you to the PayPal logging in page. Okay. Let's try this one, paying with a credit card, because I don't actually want to pay with my real PayPal account. What we will do next week is we will create some test accounts to pay with, because we are actually on the test. You'll see you're on the sandbox. Just make sure, double check this, that you're on the sandbox, which means you're not really making real payments. So when you're on the sandbox, you can't actually use your real payment account. You can go back to PayPal over here, and you can go create, you can see at the bottom here, you can go create, credit card generator and so forth. You can even create accounts. You can even create like fake PayPal accounts to use, because you want to be able to log in here with an account. You want to be able to log in here with an account if you don't want to pay with a credit card. But for now, this is the testing for the credit card, and you can go in there and create a fake credit card and then try it on and see what happens. Okay, but I can see this is gonna work, because normally when you get to this part of the integration, if you see the PayPal pop up properly, it means everything is okay. But what I want to check for is this $20. Why am I getting charged $20? Because this is supposed to be the $9 subscription. So let me just open this up and you'll see what happens there. You'll see that there is the starter plan, which is the $10. They've included the tax, because remember I added a 15% tax, which is the behavior that I want. But then it has a setup fee, and it shows you there that it includes 15% tax. So it's charging a $10 setup fee, which I don't want. Okay. So I need to remove this, but at least everything else looks perfect. Okay, so it starts today, which is the 26th of June, my birthday, by the way. It starts today, and then it's going to renew every month for 48 months until I cancel, which is exactly what I put on. So everything is actually perfect about this. I don't know why this is John Doe store. So I need to change this to say Karabo, and then I need to actually remove this one-time setup fee. So I'm not sure why this is, because I think it must have been in the way that I created my subscription. I must have missed something. So because the video is getting a bit long and we can't actually continue with this because it's not set up the way we want it to do, but you can see the sort of the steps that you need to follow, right? So at this stage, you can pretty much take what I've already showed you. So I'm going to cancel, and I'd like to see that I've canceled my subscription alert coming up, which means that my everything is working accordingly. So if I had made a payment, it would have taken me back to the correct payment. So ideally, what we're going to do next week is when somebody cancels a subscription, instead of it telling the person that they have canceled the subscription over there, all right, instead of it telling the person that they've canceled their subscription, what we want to do, we want to actually reroute them to their cancel subscription page. Okay, so we don't want them to stay here. We can just create another page, or we can actually just do a pop-up or like an alert, or we can do, we'll figure out how to best do this, but we will maybe we can do something like a sweet alert that looks nicer than this old type alert, but we need to let them know that, hey, your subscription is canceled, which means you didn't actually do anything, all right, or route them to a different page. But if they approve, what we want to do now is to take all of this information, send it to the server side. So we probably need to do something like a jQuery call. Okay, send this to the server side via a post request, so that we can then update that person's information that their subscription is now active. Okay, so all of that we're going to do next week, because that's also a bit of work, and I think we're not going to be able to finish that now. We've already done quite a bit for today. So thank you guys for watching. Next week we'll continue right here where we left off. We're going to start off all by fixing our subscription and making sure that it's the proper way, not charging an initiation fee, and showing our store name and all of that properly. And then in the meantime, try and research, find for yourself how to create your own fake credit cards to use for the sandbox, maybe a fake account, figure that out. And I think I've taught you enough that you can play around now with your fake account, your fake credit card, try and trust and process some payments. You can even go back, because all you need to do actually is to edit this API call. You remember this API call where you get the product ID, the way we made it over here. So probably this is where we have put in that initial charge and all of that. Okay, so you probably need to just edit this and remove that initial charge, and make sure that your store name and everything is done properly. Probably this is in the dashboard. Okay, so play around with this. I think I've taught you enough that you can finish off the subscription stuff all on your own. And then what we'll do next week then is to try and then update this on the database. I think I'll just continue from there next week. I'll fix this, also in my own time, and then continue just from there, so that we can finish off this tutorial once and for all. We're now in lecture 7, 8. All right. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again next week.